And as we go left, I feel my body just fly out of the car. And I remember tumbling uncontrollably and thinking, oh, I'm going to hit my head on something. So I was trying to like duck and cover as I feel my body flying through the air. And then it's like, boom. And I hit, and the air just got sucked out of me. There was like a sycamore tree that I crashed into. I stand up, grab my radio, and I get up and I go running into the park.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the very next episode of Game of Crimes with Murph in the Morning. I got to tell you, if those of you that heard Vic Ferrari on here, a guest on the show several months ago, if you remember, I had tears running down my cheeks from talking to Vic, so he's funny. Retired New York City cop. Well, we found another one, and you can see her on the screen right there. It is my true honor to welcome a 20-year retired veteran of the New York City Police Department, Murph Bartoldus. And I'm probably going to say your name wrong all morning, so I'll try not to say it too often. But Murph, thank you very much for coming on here.
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be here, Murph.
Oh, yeah. I hope I don't piss you off, because I know how you New York people are. You get revenge.
Yeah, we break kneecaps. It's in the blood.
And they don't beat around the bush. You know what's coming.
Why mess around? Yeah.
Well, this is going to be so much fun. We've been talking probably for 15 minutes before I finally hit the record button, just because we see a lot of things in life similarly, the same. How about that? It's old country boy here trying to use big words. That doesn't always work. So this is going to be so good, though. It's and we'll get into it. We might talk about the Yankees, because we're recording this the day after another team won the World Series. In East Coast versus West Coast, nothing against all my friends in California, but when it's East versus West, I got to root for the East Coast. Man, I remember when I was a kid, I was a Yankees fan, and it's just, anyway, we'll get into that in a minute. How about
Seriously depressing time right now. So, yeah.
Well, let's just talk about that for a second, because my wife and I were watching the game. I mean, the Dodgers came out kicking butt in the first 3 games, and I'm thinking, man, the Yankees didn't even show up this year. It's embarrassing. And then Game 4 just kicked their butts, and we turned it on last night, and it was already 5-1, I think, when my wife's counting, when we turned the TV on, and then we got into that inning where they tied the score up, and I'm like, how did that just happen? I mean, other than those 3 errors, was it the same inning or maybe 2 different innings there?
Yeah. Well, it was, my husband is a huge Yankee fan, but he's Moneyball. So if he turns the game on, they're winning, and then he turns the game on, and then they're losing. And then so he turns the game off again. So we have like the battle of the TVs of like, are we allowed to watch the game or not? I'm scared to look. And then this morning, we wake up at 6 a.m. to a massive explosion of text messages. Can't believe those Yankees lost, with the ball busting that entailed from that at 6 a.m. So it's been a rough day so far.
And it's only, what, 10 o'clock?
It's only 10 o'clock. So, but it's, we'll see what happens. I don't know. No ticker tape parade at the Canyon of Heroes.
I can't imagine what's going to happen there. The looting and all that crap that usually goes on.
Well, I mean, we showed you what we're capable of when we try and steal a ball out of the outfielder's glove. So this is what we do. We don't play. So
oh, that's one of the things that Marika and I were talking about here is I'm looking at that scene on TV. I'm like, where's the uniforms? Lock their butts up. They got no right to do that.
Yeah. We do what we have to do to prevent an out or a run from the opposition team from scoring. We steal the ball. We assault players. It doesn't really matter.
Hey, there you go. Well,
throwing snowballs at Santa Claus is bush league compared to what the Yankee fans are capable of doing.
As long as you all stick together, I guess that's the bottom line, right?
Nobody saw anything.
Destroy the tapes.
Yeah.
So, and you told me your husband's a retired New York City officer also, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And you mentioned Vic Ferrari earlier. You guys know each other?
Yeah, we didn't know each other from the NYPD. There's so many of us. It's like sometimes you know somebody and it's very strange. It's like a weird coincidence. Like, yeah, I know that guy. I work with him. But he actually contacted me when he was looking at my book. And so Vic Ferrari comes up, and my husband's like, that's the guy's name from Taxi. It's a scam. It's somebody from like Russia trying to call you and steal your money. And I'm like, oh man, he has books. You see his books on Amazon. He's got all these books that he writes about the NYPD, and he's like, it's a scam. Don't click on the link. Don't do it. And how, like, typical cops, we don't trust anybody. But yeah, Vic is I mean, he's hilarious. He's a great guy. He's old school cop. I adore him. He's great people.
He was hilarious. I'm not kidding. He's just as funny as he could be. I was looking for his episode number here. And of course, when you're looking for something, you can never find it. But for our listeners out there, if you haven't heard Vic's episode, I'll find it here as we're going all on and let you know what the number is, because we're up to, gosh, if everything goes right, your episode will be 174.
That's a good number.
Bad
Okay.
for an old country boy. So, but
It's very good.
as our regular listeners know, we have a section here at the beginning we call the Small Town Police Blotter. And I've got a disclaimer I have to read to you so I don't get sued by anybody. And our disclaimer is this is a show about crime. We talk about bad people doing bad things. We talk about bad people doing bad things to good people. We take all our stories seriously, but we're going to take a shot at a criminal every opportunity we get, because there are some stupid, we call it low-hanging fruit. Right? And so, Marique, I sent her an email, was it, I guess this morning, was it? Or
This morning.
night?
Yeah, I think this
Yeah,
morning.
and I said, I don't tell people about this till the last minute because I don't want to have time to think about it and say no. And of course, she didn't hesitate. She joined right in. And she's got, I think it might be somebody that these people from up where you used to live, right?
The emotionally disturbed people. Yeah, we're
Yeah. From what city were they from?
from New York City.
There you go. There you go. Probably not Yankees fans. They're probably Mets fans.
Yeah, Queens is usually Mets fans, so you're in hostile territory there. It could get violent. You got to be careful what jersey you put on, but I do like the stadium. It's a nice stadium. I'll give them that.
There you go. There you go.
I have friends who are Mets fans, so I gotta ice the cake over a little bit.
Oh, they're going to be throwing shots at you guys today.
Yeah, it's gonna be rough. My phone is blowing up. I don't even want to look at it.
Well, let's talk about somebody else then up there.
Okay, sounds good.
Emotionally disturbed person.
Yeah, so the crazed naked guy terrorizes New York City subway passengers. A common occurrence, to be honest with you, after working in the subway. A crazed naked man seen menacing New York City subway passengers was handcuffed and transported to a Bronx hospital, but not charged in connection with the bizarre incident, according to police. The man's outburst occurred on a northbound 6 train in the Hunts Point Avenue station in the South Bronx. The man yelled racial and ethnic slurs as he finished removing his pants. After hurling himself into a set of doors, the man took off his boxer shorts, which elicited squeals of, I guess, jealousy from shocked observers. As a police officer was talking on his radio, the man bolted from the subway car and accosted a woman walking up a stairway. After slamming a package of hers to the ground, he lunged at a man walking perilously close to a platform edge. With the help of some onlookers, the cops succeeded in wrestling the man to the ground, where he was subdued. A police spokesman said the man, 41, was treated as an emotionally disturbed person and transported in custody to Lincoln Hospital for psychological evaluation. The Transit District 12 officer with whom he grappled suffered a minor injury for which he was treated and released at Jacoby Hospital, the spokesman added.
Okay, I can see the different things going on, but why do you take your clothes off?
It gets hot. I mean, I don't remember when this happened. The subway system is hot and it's like 120 degrees down there. So when you're like all getting involved, I mean, who knows? He could have been one of those guys singing in the subway car. They do dance moves on the subway cars. Maybe he was getting sweaty and he's like, I have to relieve myself of my clothing right now. Maybe, I don't know.
Did you ever see that?
Boxer shorts. Oh, yeah, you saw everything. And it's true. And I feel for this cop because when people take their clothes off, it's like, oh no, because they're just so slippery. You just can't get them handcuffed.
And nobody wants to touch anything.
It's so disgusting. It's just body juices flying all over the place and it's just nauseating. But that's the beauty of the job. I mean, really, doesn't get any better than that.
I swear, you got to love the job to view it like you just said it. That's the beauty of the job.
You just have to laugh. You just have to laugh and hope you have a change of uniform that's clean in your locker.
Well, thank you for playing along on that. I want to typically, and just so you folks know, Marique lives down in Florida now. I'm not going to tell you where, but not too far from where I am. I hope we get to meet up in person sometime, not just here on the screen. But I typically read a Florida man story because there are absolutely no shortages of Florida man stories. And I'm getting to the point now where I'm kind of getting tired of it. I want to read from other states because I know we got more than our share of idiots down. So I'm going as far away as I could get and still be in the continental United States, Washington State. And this guy, car thief, gets out of jail, steals another vehicle. Well, of course he does. So a Washington man, 21 years old, enjoyed a whole 30 minutes of freedom after spending 5 months locked up for auto theft. A Washington State man was released from custody Wednesday afternoon and then promptly stole another vehicle because that just seemed like the right thing to do. Oh, man, he got this one from a supermarket about 2 blocks from the jail. Because he didn't want to walk, I guess. I don't know. Upon his release from the Whitman County Jail, Kyle Matthews, age 21, we'll call him our today's idiot, made his way on foot to a supermarket in Colfax, a city in the state's southeast corner. According to the cops, Matthews hopped into a running 1972 Volvo. I think he could have picked a better car, but I guess the opportunity presented itself, and he took off in the car. Responding to a stolen vehicle report, officers quickly intercepted the auto and initiated a traffic stop according to probable cause affidavits. Of course, now Matthews, being the fine, upstanding citizen he is, ran. We expected that, didn't we? We knew that was going to happen.
Why not?
But it was surprising. He was chased out by a state trooper. I didn't know. I mean, we all remember Morgan here. He used to be my co-host here on the show. I didn't know they got out and they might get their uniforms dirty. But this trooper, he was a stud. He caught the guy and arrested him. They returned to the county jail where he's being held without bail for auto theft, possession of stolen property, attempting to elude police, and other charges. 30 minutes of freedom. Was it worth it?
He probably went to the supermarket to buy some groceries to bring home to make a nice dinner for his girl who he hasn't seen in 5 months, and he can't carry it all home. So he borrows a car. It's a temporary borrowing of the vehicle.
Sorry.
Do I have a future as a defense attorney? I don't know that.
Maybe. That's one of the things I made notes of when I read out of your book about teaching people about consequences for their actions.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about that later on. Oh my goodness. It's just crazy. And troopers, don't pull me over and give me a ticket. I love you guys. I'm going to pick on you though. I mean, you look at Morgan, his nickname was AAA because he used to go get people gas and change their flat tires, right? So love you guys.
I wonder if he wore the hat as he was chasing they're very particular about their hats. Like, does it stay on perfect as you're running after the perp? I'm curious.
Well, and you got to take it out of the hat container to make sure it doesn't bend around the edges and
make sure there's no dust on the.
If there's a speck of dirt on that car, got to stop the car wash. I'll be right with you. Go ahead, get a head start.
Hold on, I'll be right with you.
I could just see it now. Connie and I are going to go out to the dinner tonight, and the troops are going to be out here waiting on me. Hey, Murph, you thought that was real funny. Here, take this to see how funny that is.
I'm not leaving the house the day after this podcast is released. I'm just going to play it safe.
Oh, that's right. I got a few weeks. Grace period here before it gets out. So, anyway, if you're wondering how Barik and I met, you've heard me talk about Patrick O'Donnell on here before. He was a guest on episode 77 back in November of 2022, and Patrick has his own podcast. He's a retired Wisconsin cop, right?
Milwaukee, yeah.
Yeah, Milwaukee. He goes by Sarge. He's got his own podcast, Cops and Writers podcast. And I've had a lot of you folks, a lot of people know that Javier, my old DEA partner, and I wrote a book. And then when you find out the truth, we had a ghostwriter because I tried writing it and it just sucked. It was terrible. And our publisher and our literary agent found us a ghostwriter, and that was the only reason the book was successful, to be quite honest with you. But people call me for, hey, I'd like to write a book. How do you go about doing that? The first thing I do is I refer them to Patrick. So Patrick, brother, thank you so much. If you haven't listened to his podcast, it's Cops and Writers. Give him a listen. That's how I found out about Marie today, because he had her as a guest on his show. Now, I typically will not watch anybody else's podcast if I'm going to have that person on the show, because I want it to be more authentic and me. I can make a fool out of myself. I don't need somebody else to help me do it. But I did look at the first intro on Patrick's yesterday, your interview with Patrick. And what was the term he threw out at you? Felonious mopery? We called it lurking with intent to gawk.
Okay.
Or wearing tennis shoes after dark, one of those.
Okay. Yeah, felonious mopery is quicker. It's a little bit. It's the New York speed of that. Yes.
Well, in the South, we got to drag things out.
Yeah. It sounds nicer with the Southern accent. Yeah. It was funny talking to Patrick, because I'm like, it's amazing how the way that perps move and the lingo that cops have is not necessarily unique to like one police department. It kind of traverses the continent. It's
Oh
it's
yeah.
pretty funny.
Oh yeah. And we found out because having traveling around the world, speaking and everything, we always try to make a point of meeting cops in whatever country we're in. They're the same everywhere. We're all sick puppies. We all like to drink. Well, I don't drink anymore, and we also like to tell war stories, which is why I have a podcast, because I get to get on here and talk, right? But you're right. You're right. We're the same all around the world. At least the honest cops are. The dishonest, we don't want anything to do with them.
Yeah, we don't want to talk to them.
And we're going to talk a little bit more about those kind of people later on in the show here. And before we get into asking about Marique's background and everything, I want to show you, and we're going to talk about this at length. This is her book that's out, 20 and Out, and it's a compilation of chaos experience while serving 20 years in the New York City Police Department. It's for over 400 pages, ladies and gentlemen, 91 chapters. But let me tell you, the chapters are anywhere from 3 to maybe 6, 7 pages. And I like that. I like going story to story. I'm just curious, and I'll ask you this in a minute. How in the world did you remember 91 different events? I'm guessing you kept your little notepads.
I have a few Mel books, I think, but I had like a scrapbook that I had compiled like as soon as I retired. I had a ton of pictures that I took and, detail notifications and funny posters that were put up and, like all that stuff. You just kind of put it all together.
Yeah.
So some of it I remember, like it jogged my memory there, but sometimes like, when you're talking to other cops, it's, oh, remember this time, and then half the time, like I still have cops that I worked with texting me now. Oh, I remember that time that you fell out of the car and you got up and kept running, and I knew you were badass, and I don't remember that, but cool. That's
yeah.
I think I've forgotten more than I remember, but yeah, it took I think 3 or 4 months for me to kind of compile all of the memories that I've had, because one leads to the other, and you start remembering all kinds of stuff, and it's like, yeah, I'm going to put all of this in here and embarrass myself. That's what we're going to
do. I'll be honest with you. I found self-deprecating humor works very well with people. It's very disarming.
Yeah.
So
there's plenty of stuff to make fun of myself on. So there's no shortage of that in the book.
No shortage of material.
It was originally intended for my daughter. I wasn't really intending to publish a book or anything. She just was always asking me about what it was like when I was a cop, because she was little and just remembers me never being home. So I can't really talk to you about the craziness and that happens, because I don't want you to worry about me when I go to work. As far as she knew, like I sat at a desk and just typed all day long. So I said, I'll write a book for you. I will write it. And then by the time I was done, it was 400 and something pages. And I said, oh goodness, I write like I talk. It just doesn't stop. It keeps going. And it's the Italian blood in me that so it was, I just ended up finding a publishing company, and they asked if I wanted a ghostwriter. And the first edit was like, it was a dark and stormy night, and suddenly the radio crackled and I'm like, no, it was fucking freezing out and my toes were frozen. It wasn't authentic with the ghostwriter. I said I need the gritty me. Yeah. Otherwise it's not. It's for my kids. So that's so then it just turned into the cover and the whole thing, and I'm all right, just put it on Amazon. I'll sell 3 copies and call it a day. I'll buy all 3 copies, and I don't really care. But
well, it's up to 4 because I bought one.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that.
I love it. I was after I saw how thick the book was, because when it came in, I got it through Amazon, and when it came in, I'm like, holy cow, this damn thing's heavy.
Yes.
And I opened it up and I saw how many pages it was, because even though it tells you on Amazon, I don't look at that. And I'm thinking, wow, she could have written 2 books out of this. You could have had a sequel.
Vic Ferrari was like, what were you thinking? And I'm like, I wasn't thinking. I wanted it all to be encompassed. And now it's funny because as I was writing this, like now I have a whole bunch of other stories that I remember of jobs that I went to and stuff that I did that maybe I'll write a second one, depending on, how bored I get in retirement. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. When did this one come out?
July 4th of 2024.
Oh, wow. That's pretty new.
It's new. Yeah, it's new.
Excellent.
But it was like a year. It was a year in the making. I wrote it and then I rewrote it and I wrote it again. The editing process is always a pain in the neck. So it was fun because I was reliving all of the stuff. But I mean, some of it's hard. You relive memories that were kind of brutal and stuff that you kind of don't want to remember, that you can't really. It's hard to find ways about joking about some things that are really horrific, cops getting shot and stuff. So, but it was I guess therapeutic. Put it on paper, and
if you wrote that whole book in a year, I think that's phenomenal, because I know cops who have been writing for 4 years, 5 years. I mean, even Morgan, I think he's been writing on his book for over 2 years. Well, I know it has because he first told me about we started the podcast, so it's probably been 4 years for him.
Wow, yeah. I mean, I probably could have spent more time on it and kind of perfected things, but I wasn't really thinking about other people reading it. It was just I probably could have expanded on things. I made it like 800 pages, but there's a limit to people's ability to have patience and sit for that extended period of time. So it was no, it was yeah, I don't know, I just sat with my laptop and I just started typing and it just kind of flowed right out. So my husband wasn't too happy because he's like, dude, you're on the computer again today. And I'm like, yeah, it's coming out of me. I got to keep going. So it was fun. I had a good time with it.
Well, and you just used a term there that I read in the book, which the first time I read, I thought, what? Then when you said dude.
Yeah.
So that's, I mean, we all call each other dude, but like I'll say, if I've got guy cops on here, I'll, refer to him as brother. And if it's a girl cop, I'll refer to you as a sister. But when I read dude, I thought, well, okay, that's what they do up there, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's just me. I think that's what I use. It's like a friend, it's like dude. And if it's like a perp on the street, it's like guy.
Mhm.
So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I remember reading that story where you fell out of the car.
Yeah,
It
that
is
was a
in the
good
book.
day. Yeah, I still have a little bit of the road rash scar on me still hovering there. It was,
My gosh.
yeah, that was another fun, typical Marique moment of idiocy in the attempt of being a hero. And that's what that's
Well, and even with a long book like that, that's the beauty of having the short chapters. Because you could sit down and read. If I'm sitting out by the pool, I might read 15 chapters. If I'm sitting in my chair and something interesting comes on TV, I read one and put the book down. So I like it like that.
right.
It's
Thank you.
those books that go on for 60 pages before you get to the end of the chapter, those drive me crazy.
Yeah, it's for, I mean, I feel as cops, we generally don't have long attention spans. We're used to just jumping
What do you
from
mean?
one thing to the other. So it's okay. You stop paying attention after the third sentence. So it was,
I got to tell you, so I don't think I've ever told this story on here. When I was still with DEA, I got promoted to the highest ranks, and I was very good at multitasking. I just had that. I don't have that ability now, but I did when I was younger. But you and I could be talking about something, and something would grab my attention, like squirrel, like the dog. And so, as I'm getting ready to retire, the office that I was the director of, they had a little program for me. It's they present you. They gave me because we were going into the Netflix series with Narcos. They gave me a director's chair with my name embroidered. It's nice stuff. And so then it's my turn to get up and thank everybody. And as I'm talking, all of a sudden people would throw up these pictures of a squirrel and a stick, and they'd yell out "squirrel," and I'm looking over, and then somebody would go "squirrel." I'm like, "You pricks!" But it was hilarious. So why did I tell you that story? Just I'm glad to hear it's not just me.
no, yeah, it's I think it's probably more common than you think, but yeah, it was
Yeah.
you get, and then it's like you get bored of writing it too. It's like, okay, I'm done telling this story. Let's just go to the next one.
Yeah. Well, your whole career, especially here on the street, your head is continually on the swivel because if it's not, you're going to get hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, your eyes are always, especially I worked in the subway for like a year, and that was where you really learn, okay, you're surrounded by, it's like the Matrix, like everybody could be a potential enemy. You got to keep your eyes open and who's this guy and who's that guy and keep your back to the wall. Don't get pushed onto the tracks. That's
Man,
not going to be a good day.
I've only been in the New York subway once, I think, and I was with two old guys that were producers that grew up in New York City. And even they were having to go to the maps and looking, okay, which train are we taking? I'm like, you guys told me how to do the subway. Well, we do, but we're older than you. It's Michael and Marty. I love the guys, but that's scary.
Yeah, the subways are, I grew up kind of going to the city, like Manhattan and stuff. So certain lines, like the 8th Avenue line, the 7th Avenue line. But then if you have to go into Queens, it's like, okay, well, does the E train stop there? Which stop? So you have to figure out. So just because you ran it in their defense doesn't mean that you really know. Like I know very little about the Bronx subway system. I wasn't up there. I don't really know. Brooklyn, very vaguely. I knew I knew the J line going into Brooklyn. That was it, which is always a fun day. But yeah, each line is like its own animal and certain trains stop during certain hours. And I get why people are confused, but I mean, even as a cop, people would come up to me and be like, oh, yeah, how do I get to this place or whatever? And well, let's go to the map. I don't, let's see. I'll help
Wow.
you figure it out. Because sometimes you know, and sometimes you don't. So it's like, okay, like
Yeah.
when you would do details in Manhattan and people come up to you and be, where, how do I get to whatever? And it's, I don't know, dude, I work in Queens. I have no idea where I am right now. I can't help you. I don't know which way is north. Look at the sun. Which way is it moving? You're on your own. I don't know. Before the
Manhattan,
advent of the cell phone. So
there's too many high rises. You can't see the sun.
you can't see it. So you got to wait for it to fall into the canyon of the avenue so you can
Yeah.
kind of figure out which way it's going. So you might be standing here for a while to figure out where you are, but eventually we'll figure it out. Yeah.
Yeah. So did you grow up in New York City?
No, I grew up right outside of Queens in Malvern on Long Island. But my dad worked in the city. My mom worked in Lower Manhattan. I was always constantly going to the city. I remember taking the subway with her, and it was like my mom would train me to like, okay, don't make eye contact, just keep your head down, and if a homeless person walks by, try not to breathe. That is like
Oh, really?
because well, yeah, because they would cough, and they usually had TB or something, and you didn't want to breathe it in, and you're stuck on the subway car. So I kind of was familiar with the city. So getting to be a New York City cop wasn't a shell shock thing for me because I kind of grew up there. We would go into Queens to hang out. We would drive around into Brooklyn and stuff, and we kind of knew the city, so it wasn't like a foreign entity to me.
Yeah. So growing up, did you have any brothers or sisters?
Yeah, I have a younger brother and a sister. They didn't go into the police department.
Was your mom or dad involved in law enforcement or law or anything?
Yeah, my dad was NYPD.
Oh, there you
Yeah,
go.
he wasn't too thrilled when I told him that I wanted to be a cop, but he didn't discourage me. It was my mom was a city school teacher, so we were like products of New York City. We loved it. It's in your blood. So
It has to be. And I've got a lot of friends from New York, a lot of friends. And once you've got a friend from New York, you got a friend for life, is what I found. I'm serious, especially in the law enforcement culture.
you're
But
stuck with us. Yeah.
yeah, and love it. But also, if we go to New York City, I'm good for about 3 days, and I got to go. I mean, it's just the bustle, hustle, bustle, not seeing the sun, the urine smell everywhere you go. It's just, I guess,
Yeah, I was not a fan of Manhattan. It wasn't. I worked there for a little while down like NUC area, down in the lower west side, lower east side. But I was more of like a Queens. I worked I bounced around like Brooklyn and the South Bronx for a little bit, very little on Staten Island, but like Queens was like my home. I kind of lived there, and that was where I felt like those are my peeps in
yeah.
Queens. So yeah, I was it. But now like to go back there, it's like, oh, the traffic, the congestion. Like now I don't I didn't mind it then, but now it's like that's not anywhere near. I need grass and trees and the sky.
I'm with you. I'm with you, sister. In fact,
It gets old real quick.
yeah, you probably think this traffic in Orlando is just nothing, right?
Yeah, but like people complain that, oh, there's a pothole on the street. I'm like, there's one pothole. Drive on the LIE, drive on the Cross Bronx. Your car will not survive the trek. You will need to go to the repairman because you're going to have either a busted tire or axle or something. It's, the traffic is this is red on my thing, but I'm doing 40 miles an hour. How is it like it would take me over an hour to get to work every day. And if there was no traffic, it was like a 30-minute trip. It's traffic does not exist anywhere like it does in New York City.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Thank God. I think it's horrible around here. I've seen, I was a cop 38 years. I've seen things here that I've never seen anywhere else, what people do with their cars, but it's not an unusual event. It's like every stinking time you go out in the car. I had to go to the doctor this morning and have blood drawn for some blood tests. And you see people just like, what the hell? What were you thinking that made you think that was the right thing to do? Now, it could be a little bit to do with my age and get a little crusty as I get older, but man, it's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes I just want to close my eyes and just pretend I don't see what's going on.
Yeah.
It's hilarious, but I'm just glad that I don't have to actually handle it and deal with it anymore.
Yeah. True.
Those calls are not coming in for me.
Do you guys go back up to the city for family reunions or vacations, things like that?
No, my husband does. He was on the pile on 9/11, so he goes back for the checkups and stuff. I had to go back for court twice, which was, I mean, I don't like flying. I just hate being in a soda can that's 30,000 miles above the earth, flown by somebody who, might be hungover or not having a good day. I don't know. Like, I always look at the captain like, how you doing? Are you happy? Are you having a good day? Like everything's good in your life? I don't know where this is going to go, but yeah. So I had to go back up, but I had them fly me up at like the 6 a.m. flight, and I was out at 6 p.m. on the same day. I was like, get me out of here. It's just Florida is my home now.
There you
I'm
go.
happy to be here. Yes.
How long have you been here?
I've only been here since 2022. So, 2 years or whatever, but it's like a different. I had to almost I don't know if it was the same for you, but like relearn, like in New York, if the light turns green and you don't immediately let off the brake and hit the gas, you're going to have 27 cars behind you on the horns, honking, fingers, move your fucking car, all that stuff. Down here, the light turns green and it's, well, we might go. Maybe we'll just hang out and wait for the cycle to go again. And I'm sitting here like nobody honks their horns. There's no rush. There's no, like, I think I got the finger once when I was down here and it was a guy with New York State license plates.
That
And I'm like,
figures.
that figures. Yeah. A friend of mine was telling a story about some aggressive driver that cut them off and did the brake check and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, that guy's from New York. Like, they're from New York City. That's what we do. That's how we operate. I apologize for my people. But it's a different animal down here. People are friendly to each other. It's very strange. I mean, when I first moved down here, I went to a store and I felt like I thought maybe this guy was following me because I was going through the aisles and he's going through the aisles. And it was like my second day here. So immediately I'm like, he's marked me, right? He's going to rob me when I get into the parking lot. So I'm watching him, hoping he doesn't see me. I get to the register, whatever. And he comes up next to me and taps me. And I'm like, I'm ready to pop him because I'm like, he's trying to grab my bag. Like, you're going to go down, bro. I'm fighting. And he gives me a coupon. He got a coupon from the receipt. He's like, here's a coupon for 40% off. I'm not gonna use it. And I said, oh my goodness, I gotta get the New York out of me. This poor guy he just happened to be going down the same aisles as me. But immediately I'm like, this guy's trying to rob me.
Yeah.
Worst case scenario automatically. So I don't know. It's been an enjoyable learning curve for me because it's just nice to have people that are friendly and happy because, they don't have to deal with the traffic and congestion and concrete jungle.
Yeah. Yeah. It must be better in the section of the city that you live in than where we live because they're not that friendly here.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's probably just more New Yorkers in your area. That's probably all it is.
No, it's we like to live in an eclectic area, so it's predominantly Hispanic around us. Mostly Puerto Rican, lots of Cubans. The lady on our left side is from Egypt. The people on the right side are from Haiti, and it's a nice neighborhood. These are all professionals, but not until they get in their cars. And it's like, I like you when you're not driving.
Yeah.
So
yeah, Elon has to hurry up with those self-driving vehicles because we're in a whole lot of hurt if he doesn't make a move on those things.
Well, I heard yesterday on the news that one of the cars in the parking lot of the school caught on fire, just sitting in the parking lot, an electric car. Just decided I'm going to burn myself up because of the batteries.
That's awesome. That's good to know. Yeah. I mean, during, I think the hurricane, right? DeSantis was talking about the cars when they get the salt water, the electric cars, the batteries are going to explode if salt water. I don't know if it's the best viable option. We got to wait for technology to maybe catch up because in the cold they don't charge, they don't hold the charge. Yeah. I don't know. I have a gas guzzler. I'm proud of it. I love it.
What do you have?
I have a Honda.
That's a gas guzzler. I thought that was a pretty economical car.
I think it is. I mean, it's mostly made in America. It's assembled here, so I'm employing my fellow Americans, and it's the thing drove me down to Florida at 17 hours straight. So I'm keeping it.
Yeah, I've got my redneck Dodge Ram pickup truck sitting out in the driveway. It's got the Hemi engine. I can get enough gas. It's got a 26-gallon tank, I think it is, and that'll get me to the gas station. So
perfect. That's
the gas
what
station
you need.
Back.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, if you get stuck, just don't steal a car from the local supermarket and drive it somewhere with the state troopers facing you.
I think I'll change my name. Oh.
I just needed to get home. My truck didn't have any more gas.
That was it. When you were in high school, did you play sports? Were you a cheerleader? What'd you do?
Oh, no, I wasn't. I didn't do the cheerleader route. I played softball.
Good for you.
I was a softball girl. I played until like college and then I threw my shoulder, I popped it out, and it just never kind of got back. So, I was a softball girl. I love softball.
What position did you play?
Center field.
No wonder.
Well, outfield, but like center field was my favorite. Yeah.
That's every time I played outfield, I threw my shoulder out. For me, it's just so much more exciting playing the infield.
Yeah, you got to have fast reflexes. I didn't trust my reflexes at the time. Like third base, the ball gets hit into your face, and you're going to the hospital. But the fun about the outfield is that you're pretty much bored until the ball gets hit to you. And then you see the runner going home And you're like, I don't need to hit the cutoff, man. I'm going to
Yeah.
throw this thing home and be
Yeah.
the hero. Forget the cutoff, get out of my way. I'm going to throw straight to the catcher. And yeah, so, you do that a couple of times and your shoulder's going to tell you, no, you should have hit the cutoff guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then,
Learn that lesson the hard way.
could you people you infielders bring my arm back out here and
Yeah.
reattach it for me? I think I threw it off. It's bad memories. I ended up being a pitcher for softball eventually. I like working the bases, but I really like pitching. And
That's
you learn that when you throw, after you get hit in the face with the ball a couple of times, you pitch it and then you throw your glove up.
Yes.
Yeah, and I know people are looking at me like, he's a big wuss, man. He's scared to death, but
No, it hurts.
it hurts.
Yeah, it hurts.
That big ball hurts.
Yeah, you got a coach at you at the dugout, like, get over here.
Yeah. Oh, come on, coach. I don't want to run
I'm
laps.
sorry.
Not today. Well, we were always on the police league, so as coach yell at you, screw you, pal.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome. Yes.
Not a lot of respect.
No,
But
there's no fear at that level. Yeah.
the so were you an academic scholar in high school?
No,
Oh,
no,
come
I
on,
was
man.
I was not. I was a writer. I was always a writer, I guess. I loved writing. I took creative writing classes and stuff, but no, high school was.
We figured that out.
Yeah. Yes. Followed me. No, I wasn't high school, and even the beginning of college, I was kind of like a loser. I didn't have good grades. I was kind of lost and meandering of like, what do I want to do with the rest of my life? I have no idea. Oh, you're going to a keg party? All right, I'm coming. Like that was, I was a degenerate. It was ridiculous. One night I was hanging out with a couple of buddies, and I'm like, man, I'm just like, I'm sobering up. I don't know what I want to do. I have like a 0.2 GPA. They're going to kick me out of college. What do I do? And he was a Brooklyn kid. He was such a good dude, but he was like, yo, you would be good being a cop in the city. And I was, oh, okay. Yeah. You know what? I think I'm going to do that. And it was like the next day, I'm like, okay, I'm dropping out of college. I call my parents. I'm coming back to live at home. I'm going to school in Manhattan, at John Jay, and I'm gonna be a cop. And they're like, what the hell happened? And I'm like, it wasn't weed. It wasn't like, like I'm not stoned right now. This is like me talking. I'm being serious. So,
Yeah.
yeah, you got to straighten your life out at some point and figure out a way to support yourself. So
True. So really being a cop, even though your dad was a cop, that didn't enter your mind until during that time frame?
yeah, no, I mean, I grew up with the bumper sticker like bad cop, no donut on my car. I was not a fan of the police. I guess the teenage years of rebellion against everything that your parents are or whatever. And it wasn't, I mean, I think maybe like archaeologist, vet, lawyer for a while.
Yeah.
For a long while, I wanted to be an attorney. But just the cop thing was just because somebody else suggested it. And thank you, wherever, I don't talk to him anymore, but wherever you are, thank you. Because it was a great decision. And I had such a great time. And it was like best 20 years of my life.
Yeah.
It was
It
awesome.
is. It's, and that's one of the reasons I have the podcast here is for bring heroes in like yourself to talk about our careers and as dangerous and as gruesome as it can be, as heartbreaking as it can be at times, and as funny as it could be most of the time, until you experience, you just don't understand it. And it's funny when Morgan and I first started the podcast 3.5 years ago, we would get comments from people like, "Oh, I saw you interview so and so. Well, cops really are people, aren't they?" Well, no shit, Sherlock. Where'd you go to school? People make fun of me because I'm a product of the West Virginia school system. I figured that one out. Oh, what was
I'll let that one go.
Hey, let me tell you, I've met hillbillies in New York. Trust me, they're everywhere.
Country music is very big in New York City. It's true. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I grew up originally. I'm originally from Tennessee and grew up just south of Nashville. And as a kid, I hated country music because that's all we were going to listen to. But that was back Tammy Wynette. I mean, a lot of the nose twanging. I just didn't like it, but I love it now.
Yeah.
I guess age.
Yeah. Me too. I never said I would, but yeah.
Look at you. You're becoming a
Yeah.
Southern girl.
I know I am. I'm so proud of myself.
If you say bless your little heart, I know what that means.
Yeah. I heard that's not a nice thing down here. I heard bless your heart is like a sarcastic way of being like,
Yeah, pretty much.
yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So-
A
and
lot
if-
of people tell me bless my heart. So I'm rethinking it now. Shit. I thought they were my friend, but okay.
Yeah. Well, especially if they say bless your little heart or bless your pea-picking little heart.
Okay.
That's really bad. That's like,
That's the really warning.
that's like 18 expletives put into with 2 words there.
You have to like the whole Southern gentleman thing of the South, and they're very proper and stuff. I mean, it even goes to cursing. Like if you were in New York, I'd be like, yo, go fuck yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But down here, it's like, bless your heart. Yes. You even curse nicely. Like, what is going on here? Everything's an adjustment, different world.
We're working on you. We'll have you a convert here before long.
Yeah. People aren't going to recognize me. They're gonna be like, what? You don't drop the F-bomb anymore? Like, who are you? Like, yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious. When you started college, what was your original major going to be?
I didn't have one.
Oh, okay.
I went to New
Undecided.
Paltz in upstate New York, and I was like, yeah, I'm just going to take the core classes and see where it goes. I didn't really have a
Yeah.
plan except for wherever the next frat party was, or,
True.
no plan. Yeah.
But did you graduate from John Jay?
Yes. Yeah. I graduated, and then I think I gave myself like a 6 month because I was working full time at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So I was working full time and going to school full time. So I gave myself, I think July 1st, I joined the police department, July 1st of 2002. So I think I graduated in January, and then I worked until like 3 weeks before the academy, and then I quit my job. So I had like a little vacation before the hell of the police academy began.
What job were you working during college?
I worked at a relay and reed switch company. So I was like a salesperson there.
Mm-hmm.
Have no idea what I was selling, but I made it sound really good. I was like, you're looking for this. I got you this. But my bosses were phenomenal. I mean, I adored them. I still love them. They're just great. They were great people. They really cared about their employees. And it was a really good working thing, but it was on Jamaica Avenue. So it was right across the street was Queens. And ironically, years later, that was actually the precinct that I worked in.
Wow.
So I would drive by the place that I worked in before I was on the police department as a cop. It was weird.
Did you go in and visit them in uniform?
No, I didn't want to do that. I was thinking of like doing a prank and like going in there and pretending to arrest my old boss, just throw the handcuffs on him just for fun. But I'm like, it's a business. I don't know if they have meetings going on and stuff. But yeah, no, I didn't. I should have, but I didn't.
Yeah. Well, it takes you a couple of years in uniform to get that courage up to where you just don't care.
Yeah. You got to wait for the patches to get dirty.
Yeah.
When they're still fresh and like a little stiff still, you can't front like you're a real cop yet.
That's it. So now, and I know Vic's told us this, and we've had a couple other NYPD retired folks on here. How big is the agency?
When I came on, I think it was like 35,000. Now I think it's down below 30, I think.
And that's sworn officers.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
That sounds right.
Uniform and civilian I think it's around 40, but just uniform is, I think it's below 30 at this point. I'm not sure. I don't really check the numbers too often.
The high school I went to, we had 9,000 people in our town.
Wow.
That's why I say I'm a small town boy. I just can't imagine that.
I have to say, for the amount of people, like amount of cops, the NYPD has perfected the system of managing manpower so effectively. I mean, sometimes it pisses you off because it's okay, we didn't need the 300 extra cops for this detail, but here we are and we're standing around, and it's sometimes overkill, but they're very good at knowing, especially with storms, right? If you have a blizzard coming in or something, you have your 3 tours, the day tour, the 4 to 12, and then the midnight. So if there was a storm or something, they would hold one tour over, and then they were able to effectively micromanage the manpower. So they would hold enough people over until we knew we had enough people. And, they had other units that would fill in the backfill of where they needed to go. And it was, in my opinion, I mean, I don't really know too much about other departments, but considering the amount of people that the New York City Police Department has to manage, I think they were really effective at what they did.
Yeah. I can't even imagine. I can't begin to imagine how to control all that. It would take somebody with a brain much bigger than mine.
Yeah, there's a reason why I didn't work at 1PP. That was not one of my strengths, man. I mean, I did the small scale manpower with warrants and stuff of, okay, this is what I need and whatever.
Yeah.
But you're talking like 20 people. Anything over like maybe 22 is past my abilities.
And when you say 1PP, that's Police Plaza, right?
Yeah, one police. It's the headquarters for the New York City Police Department.
Hey, remind us, how long was your academy? How many weeks?
It was 6 months.
Wow.
So you went home. It wasn't like a sleepover, which was part of the reason why I didn't do like the state troopers or anything, because they have like the sleepover. And I don't want to do that. So, but yeah, we would do 1 week day tours, 1 week 4 to 12s. You took the train in and then the subway, and then you walked with a giant bag. I still have blisters from the bag to this day. permanent disfigurement from
Those are called
the police
calluses.
department. They're just, like for girls' hands, it's like, oh gosh, those are still there. There's no amount of lotion that's going to make those go away. But yeah, so it was, it was brutal. You bond with the guys in your company. We had, I don't know how many companies we had. Our class was huge. We had like 2,500 people in my academy class. It was like one of the biggest ones.
Wow.
But it was tough. You were constantly, I felt like my stress level was constant. You were late for something. You didn't have black socks on. If your little ice cream man hat wasn't perfectly put, if your hair wasn't in the right type of bun, it's like, give me a card, give me a card. And, it was like, it was stressful, but the gym was fun too. Cause God forbid I never dropped out of a run. I made sure like all the sit-ups and the push-ups and everything I had to do. Like, I don't want to be that guy with the armband on, the fallout. Like, I don't want to be singled out like that. Don't embarrass yourself, especially being a girl, like, I don't want to be the girl that can't hang with the guys. This is no good. So it was brutal, but it was good because it sort of prepared you for the street, I guess you could say. And then, you go to the street and you're like, holy shit, what do I do?
What did I get myself
I know
into?
I learned this like 4 months ago, but I don't remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you come out of the academy now, are you with a training officer for a certain amount of time?
You are, but it's not. When I came out, I was in transit. So we had, I think, 10 of us or whatever it was. I forget the number. And then we had one sergeant who was the training sergeant. And so he would tell us, okay, this is what you're going to do. And he would kind of bounce around to each post and kind of see how you're doing or whatever, or take you out to check the trains and make sure there's no panhandling or anything going on in the subway. So for that, you had the training officer, and he would give you tips on like tactics and like fighting with people and verbal judo of how to like de-escalate situations. Mm-hmm. But for a lot of the guys who went to the precincts, it was basically they just put you on a foot post, and your training officer was the sergeant who would drive around and scratch your memo book and be like, all right, keep standing there for another 12 hours. I'll come and get you when your tour's over. So Jeez. It was, it would be like 2 or 3 years before the precinct guys got to see a car. So I was on foot for the first year and a few months in transit. And then when I went to the 105th precinct in Queens, there are no foot posts. The precinct is so big, they didn't have foot posts then. So I was in a car, which was, oh my gosh, wow. I am like styling now. I felt like a rich person, I'm in a car. I don't have to stand all day long. This is great. So it was the best career move that I had made. It was, nice. I love that precinct. Yeah.
Did you have any say-so in your assignment coming out of the academy?
Yeah, you do. You have a wish list, so you can pick 3 precincts. So, I spoke about this a little bit before. It's really embarrassing, but I don't even care because it's just what happened. I put in for really busy Brooklyn North precincts, right? I wanted to go to like Brownsville or Bushwick or Bed-Stuy. I wanted to work in the shit because I wanted to learn. I wanted to be a cop. So in my mind, that was the best place to go. And the Bronx is like a foreign element for Long Island people, having to take a bridge to get to a precinct with the $8 in each direction. The finances, I can't afford that. So Brooklyn was the way to go. So I think it was one of the last days of the academy. They get your assignment sheet. So they go through each person in your company in the classroom, and they're like, Monzert, which was my maiden name. Monz, you're going to Transit District 20. And I was like, why? I was hysterical crying. I think that the instructors were right on the border of calling psych services for me because I was just hysterical crying. All the guys were uncomfortable. They got up and left. What's going on? I can't believe this. Oh my God, it's off. I was devastated. So in District 20, there was another guy who I work with there who also wanted to go to the 7-3 precinct in Brownsville. And he and I were just commiserating in misery because it was so slow. You didn't really handle police jobs. You handled the homeless people and suspicious substances. And then we had the blackout. So we had to evacuate people from subways. And you're watching the cop cars go by and they're chasing guys with guns and stuff. And that's what I want to be doing. We don't have guns in the subway. We have the military down here. There is not shit going on down here. Yeah. This place is on lockdown. So yeah, I was very upset that day.
That's kind of heartbreaking. That's, Jeez.
It was a tough way. I was thinking about quitting for a while. I was putting in requests to transfer mutuals. I talked to a couple of guys in the 105 who I was friends with from the academy. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, if anybody wants to come here, we'll put in a mutual. So it's a body for a body. So it's more likely to happen. And I was desperate. I was like, I got to get out of here. And through the grace of God, I got out of District 20 and I went to the 105.
Good for
So,
you. Good for
yes.
you. When you were in the academy, did you ever have little questionable events where the instructors are like, okay, Monz, like in the DEA Academy, when if you do something they don't like, they make you write a memorandum. We call it, write a memo. But in writing why you did this or why you didn't do that or whatever it is they perceive was the issue. Did you ever have to do anything equivalent to that?
No. Oh my goodness. What did you do?
Well, when I joined DEA, I'd already been a cop for 12 years, and I was on a competition shooting team, so I was a very good shot. And the first day you go to the range, you're sitting at the 5-yard line back then we had revolvers, and they're like, okay, load 6 rounds. This is the end the bullet comes out of. Don't ever look down that end. Just really basic stuff.
Right.
And they're like, okay, slow fire. Try and hit that piece of paper in front of you, the silhouette targets.
At 5 yards?
Yeah. So back
How
then
could
I
you
made
miss?
I made one hole.
Right.
I put 6 rounds in one little hole, and the instructor
Right.
comes up and he's like, I see one hole. I started laughing. I'm like, yeah, right. I mean, my attitude might not have been where it should be at that point, being submissive.
Right.
He's like,
Right. They don't want cocky.
Yeah, if I'm scoring this, you get credit for one. I'm like, bullshit. They're like, what'd you say? I said, sorry, sir. And so the next time we're shooting, I put a couple rounds here and a couple here, and you spread them out. And he's like, oh, now you're being a smart ass. Write me a memo. Oh, what do you mean write a memo? Because we didn't do that at the real police. And so I had to write a memo on that. And then one time we were doing practical exercise, and this is one thing that DEA really excels at in training is they have these practical exercises where your whole academy time, you're learning different skills and you're slowly bringing them all together. And then at the end, you have this field training exercise, FTX, and it's involving a wiretap, and it'll last for several days. And, you're out doing surveillance and different things. You're out in the city doing surveillance around DC and Alexandria and on down towards Stafford and down towards the academy there. And we had followed the bad guy to a mall right off I-95, and so somebody's got to follow him inside to see who he's meeting, and somebody keeps an eye on the car. Well, I kept an eye on the car, and no, somebody else had an eye on the car, and they said, hey, Murph, come on up and do a walk by. So I got parked somewhere and came walk by, and you're looking in the car to see what you can see. Well, the role player's guide was laying in the floorboard of the car, and that tells that role player that we're following where he has to be and at what time and what he's going to do. And so I might have opened the door and took a look at it. So that night, we come rolling back in the academy like 2 a.m. and you have to stay up for your debrief. You can't go to bed till you have the debrief. And when the instructors came in, and he's like, wow, you guys, you are fantastic tonight. We didn't lose you a single time. Surveillance was spot on, no matter what we did. And this one guy in my class, he was doing it to be funny, but he dimed me out. He's like, well, it's easy to do when you've got the role player's guide. And all of a sudden, all the instructors were like, you've got the what? Come up here and explain yourself, young man. And so he had, then he's got to dime me out.
Now you have a rat.
Yeah. Everybody go to bed. Murph, you're with us. So.
Well, they should have given you accolades for that. I mean, that's right. You did counter surveillance on the surveillance.
Yeah, I said, hey, you're teaching me to take the initiative. I took the initiative.
They should have been more cognizant of, you don't leave the wanted flyers and the directions out. That's rule number one.
But
that's awesome.
Sorry to get off on those stupid stories like that.
No, that was hilarious. No, I was not daring like that. I stayed in line. I didn't want to get called down to room 500. If you did something messed up, you got sent to the office. And it was like I was terrified. I'm not getting in trouble.
Did you ever even consider any other agencies besides Newark Police Department?
No.
Not at all.
Didn't want to go federal. Wasn't interested in moving to other parts of the country. Nassau and Suffolk counties, which are adjacent to New York City, made, I think, double what we were making. But I was never really in it for the money. I did it because I loved it. And I couldn't imagine, I liked in New York City, you always have a partner. You're not really allowed to work alone. It's a contractual thing. So you always so I couldn't imagine being stuck in a car for 12 hours, answering 3 radio runs and having nobody to talk to. That was my worst nightmare. I like having 35 radio runs in 8.5 hours. And you look at the clock and it's, wow, I should have left 2 hours ago. I need to go back. The night flies by. It's fun. And the busier the house is, the more tight you are with the cops that you work with, right? Because you just rely more on each other for your lives, really. So the camaraderie and the ball busting I was like, there's no way I'm leaving. It's
Yeah.
just, I
Once
was
it gets
home.
in your blood, you can't leave.
No, no. I mean, it was, as I got older, I guess I just got tired and cranky. I was like the cranky old timer. I don't know how that happened to me because I was always into it, but by the end, I'm all right. I can't handle these new kids anymore. I'm just gonna. So it was an easy transition to leave because I was kind of burnt out, but I love that job. That was,
Yeah.
that's a great time.
And that's one of the stories I want to get into. So we've been going about an hour here.
Oh my gosh, already? Sorry.
Yeah, that's
Wow.
what I love about this. It's for me, the time flies by. My wife thinks I'm an idiot because she was a nurse and we've been married 40 years and she still doesn't
Oh,
understand cop humor.
congratulations. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'll keep her. Well, we'll see.
Kind of stuck there, yeah.
Well, she does not listen to the podcast, so I'm safe.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. You're nuts.
But for our listeners, listen, this is the end of episode 1. We're getting ready to get into some of the stories from the book here. And you've heard me make a few references that we want to talk about this, we want to talk about that. I've got a whole list of things I want to ask Marika about. I'm having a blast talking to her. So if you're here at the end of part 1, come back tomorrow. You certainly don't want to miss part 2. We'll see you then. Hey, players, that's the end of part 1. Part 2 comes out, as always, on Tuesday. In the meantime, just a reminder that Game of Crimes is now posting interview videos on YouTube. You can find those at Game of Crimes Podcast. Our website is gameofcrimespodcast.com, where you'll find all our episodes, our guests, book lists, merchandise, and more. And for more content, join us on patreon.com/gameofcrimes. I have several monthly episodes that range from silly to serious, so come on over and join the fun. In the meantime, everyone stay safe. I'll see you tomorrow for part 2.